Hello, my name is Donnella Nielsen, and I'm with a group of people today called the Browne Group, and we are here today to find out a little bit about this group. With me is Jan Young, their teacher, and a lady who I understand has been invaluable to her, Jill Browne. Jan, could you tell us a little bit about the Browne Group and what its purpose is and how it started?
Well, it began in 1983 when Midland County teachers were offered the opportunity to work with a select group in the area of the humanities. And the award was set up in the memory of Dr. Ernest Britton, who was a former superintendent of the Midland schools back in 1946. I have shared the award this past year with Dave Morrison from Dow High. It's a 2-year appointment, so you share it with the teacher appointed ahead of you. And you had a Coleman teacher a few years back, George Lee.
Oh, yes, I remember. Yes, he did talk about his Browne Group. Mm-hmm. Could you tell me how teachers get appointed to the position?
Well, they are nominated, and then there's a Browne committee that interviews you and hears about your project. And when I was nominated, about the same time I was nominated, I received a call from Jill Browne saying, you know, how would I like to work with her on this? So the two just fit together wonderfully, and I, of course, couldn't have done this without Jill, because she's the one that has all the knowledge.
So they haven't always done TV shows in the group?
No, the teacher presents some area of interest in the humanities she would like to pursue with a special group of students.
Well, could you introduce Jill to us and maybe tell us a little bit about what she's done?
Well, she's done a lot in television. Jill?
Well, I thought I have worked here at MCTV as a volunteer for about 6 years, and one of the things that I wanted to do was to involve students in the process of video production. I thought it would be something that would lend itself very well to the creative abilities of young people. And I live in the Bullock Creek School District and have admired Jan Young as a teacher for forever, and was anxious to try to find a project to do with her. I thought it would be a real learning experience for both of us. And so I thought, well, I'll see if she's interested in doing some video, because at that time she was in the Gifted and Talented program working with Project Discovery. And so about the time that I had the idea of why don't we try to do something with students in video, Jan was getting the Browne Award, so it just sort of was a perfect fit. It was karma.
Can't say no to those sort of things when they fall together like that, can you? Yes. I understand that you do some taping of your own types of shows that air on Cable 5 here in Midland.
Yes, I produce a show called Creative Hearts, and it's a show that explores the creative process of artists. I also volunteer on numerous shows. I do videotaping for the symphony, the Midland Symphony Orchestra, all of their educational outreach programs.
Mm-hmm. Well, that sounds really interesting. I think you ladies have done a super job here. These kids, it's just great to look out here and see these children operating these television cameras and everything, and know that they're really prepared to whatever comes into their futures. You've done a super job. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
The first two students I'd like to talk to here with the Browne Group are the president and vice president. Sarah Mitzel from Bullock Creek Elementary is the president of the group, and Devin Wilson is the vice president, and he's also from Bullock Creek Elementary. Devin, I understand that you designed these T-shirts that everyone's wearing today. Could you explain to us about those, please?
Well, we had to come up with some designs, and I went home and just started drawing different designs, and I liked these too, and I brought them in, and so they chose these, and I inked them, and then we put them on the T-shirts.
So you did the whole, from beginning to end on them, huh, for yourselves. Mm-hmm. Could you stand up and show us what you have on the back of them without your mic getting caught? Can you see that good? Thank you. Sarah, I understand that along with the T-shirts, a logo was developed for the TV spots. Could you tell us how you came up with that idea?
Yeah, well, we were talking about all these ideas in this little group about what we could do, and then I went home and started fiddling with my brother's Legos. And
those Legos that he never played with designed this whole show for you. I understand both of you have worked on several shows already. Yours is still in production, and it's called High Top Boots to LA Gear, is that correct? Could you tell us a little bit about your show?
It's from what kids wore to school a long time ago, like 1700s, up till now, and a future outfit that we designed for the year 2000.
Oh. Someone from here designed it?
Yes, Tressa Samdel.
Oh, okay, that sounds great. And you've written this and directed it and the whole shot?
Yeah.
And it's still in production?
Yes.
What do you still have to work on with it?
Putting the narration with it and the music all together and editing it together.
Sounds great. I'd be glad to see it. And Devin, you have worked on 2, I understand, and yours are both completed. In fact, one of them, Monsters Under My Bed, won an award at the 21st Annual Michigan Students Film and Video Festival in Detroit. Is that correct? Mm-hmm. That's great. Could you tell us a little bit about that show?
That one, it's about this boy who doesn't want to eat his peas, so he runs away from home to the Yukon. And he hears monsters, so he comes back home, and he finds out that there's monsters under his bed. And so he calls his dad up, and his dad fakes being eaten by the monster.
Does it have a happy ending?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, good, good. And the other show you did was called Here Comes Santa Claus?
That one, we just filmed the Santa house in downtown Midland.
I see.
And, got shots of, and we interviewed Santa
I was
Claus.
going to say, you had to have talked to Santa, right? Did everybody give him his wish list, too? Sounds like you kids have really been busy and done a super job. Thank you for talking to me and answering my questions, and good luck with your work. The next 2 students here are 2 girls who have worked on what are called PSAs. And this is Maria Gay, who is from Floyd Elementary School in the Bullitt Creek School District, and Dina Galgosi is from our Coleman schools. These girls have worked on the PSA called Don't Drink and Drive, and maybe, Maria, you could explain to us what a PSA is.
Well, it's like a short film, like I think it has to be under 1 minute, and it's like to inform people not to do something because it might be bad for their health.
Or about safety.
Yeah.
Or safety,
Yeah.
okay. And just what does PSA stand for, Dina?
Public service announcement.
Okay, that makes it easy. Okay, you worked together on one called Don't Drink and Drive, is that right?
Yes.
Could you tell us how it is that you came to work on this together?
Well, Dina and I, we had 2 different ones that were sort of the same, and so we put them together because we could only pick 2.
They were both drink and drive. Instead of, she had the part where they were crashing, and then I had the part where they were just dying. And so we kind of put that together. And we went, and it was really fun because we went down in the library, and we put balloons and crepe paper and stuff like that up. And we had a party, and then we all got drunk, and we slept, and then we went out in the car.
Right?
Yeah. And then, I don't know if we put the balloon part in or not.
No, that didn't work, but it was really fun.
Yeah.
And then how did you show the crashing and the dying part? Is that...
We took like different parts out of a video that they use when they're
Oh.
teaching driving skills,
Oh,
driving education, and they had a movie they showed.
that's
So
a
we took
good idea.
Just a whole bunch. There was crashes, a whole bunch of crashes, and we just put that on the end.
And that's finished? Has that aired already yet?
Yes.
Oh, that's good. Now, I understand both of you are also working on your own show. Is that correct? Dina, you're working one about veterinarians. Is that correct?
Yeah.
This is something that you wrote and you've directed and edited? Could you tell us about your show and where you got the idea?
Well, I wanted to be a veterinarian, but I really wasn't sure about it. And I thought about, really like animals, and I thought something about animals, I could do something. And so I thought of a show, and I went over to the Sanford Animal Clinic, and I taped of an exam of my kitten. She just got born. And then we were going to do a dog having a surgery, and we taped the getting ready and stuff like that. And then during the surgery, I fainted, so I didn't want to put that on there.
You couldn't handle the surgery part.
No.
So you can still be a veterinarian?
Maybe someone that checks on them, but not
just
really
the first part,
somebody. Yeah.
Maria, you're working on one called Who Robbed the School Bus? That sounds interesting. Can you tell me about that?
Well, it's about a boy it's about a bee who is really not really a bee.
Okay.
It's a person in costume, and she runs away because she doesn't want to have to eat her peas.
Sounds like
And so-
nobody likes peas here in this group, huh?
And what happens is she goes and she robs a school bus to get the books off in the bus off of the kids, and she decides to sell them back to their parents for cash, so she'll have enough money to run away, so she won't have to eat her peas.
I see. Did she end up staying home then?
Yep.
In the end? Good. Sounds like you guys came up with a couple of really good ideas. It sounds like your PSA was a really good idea. So I will be looking forward to seeing those also. And thank you for talking to me, and keep up the good work.
Thanks.
The two boys we're talking to next are Neil Onifer and Chris Jones. Neil, you're from Meridian Elementary, right?
Yes.
And Chris is from Sanford Elementary, and Chris is also the secretary of the Britton Group. Chris, you have been working on a film called Delta College Broadcasting, is that correct?
Yes.
Could you tell us about your ideas for that show and how it happened?
Well, I'd like to, how I picked that show is, since we're in TV, I'd like to do a show on how they train people professionally and stuff. And I thought maybe, since it was the nearest college and they had hands-on experience I could tape, that it'd be good. And I hope to show how they teach their courses and stuff, so people interested might join.
You're still working on this, then?
Yeah.
And have you learned enough to know if you want to stay with the profession?
Yeah, I probably do.
Okay. Neil, you've worked on a show called Chippewas Today, and this
Yes.
was your idea also, of writing and directing and everything that you would like to tell us about?
Yes, this is a show, first I was planning on getting scenes I didn't really know where I'd get them, but then Mrs. Young contacted the Chippewa Reservation, and that's in Michigan, and we went there, and now it's mainly on the reservation and how they're living today.
You shot right on the reservation then?
Yes.
So how they live and what the Indians live like today, correct?
Yes.
Both of you could answer me some questions, I believe. Some of the people watching us might like to know how students get involved in the Britton Group. Could you tell us how you were chosen?
Well, first letters were sent out to 40 people that were chosen out of these school districts, and from that 40, surveys were sent out, and we'd fill out these questions. And then then Mrs. Young and Mrs. Browne would interview them and pick 12 out of the 40.
I see. Now, Chris, this is 40 of which schools in the county are we talking about here?
Bullock Creek, Meridian, and Coleman. It was broke
40
down.
out of all three of those schools?
Yes.
I see. And then they picked 12 from all three, right?
Yep.
And it was broke down how?
By basically our grades and schools-related
I see.
projects.
I see. So if you were someone who skips school a lot and doesn't like to do your schoolwork, you're probably not going to get chosen for the Britton Group, right?
Yes.
Are you glad you were chosen?
I'm very proud.
You should be. I think you've both done some really great work. Chris, I understand you have worked on a PSA also, and would you like to tell us what your PSA is about?
It was about Dow Gardens, and it was like a walk through there, like a tour of it.
Oh, so it was really pretty with all the flowers
Yeah.
and everything out too? Good. Well, it sounds like you guys are also working on a couple of really interesting things, and it's going to add to the list of great things that we're going to be seeing on TV, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you for talking to me, and good luck.
Thanks.
In talking with all these students, there has been numerous shows and PSAs that they have come up with, and one of the questions that I had is how they decide on which of these shows are going to be produced. And we have Paul Bailey here from Coleman School and Tressa Samdell from Meridian, and one of you is going to tell me about that. Who would like to tell me how these shows get chosen and developed?
Well, first you gotta write them out, and then we vote on it around the group, and if more people vote yes, then we do it, and if more people vote no, then we don't do it.
This is the good old democratic way, but you
Yeah.
finish a story first, and then everybody talks about it, and everybody thinks that's going to sound the best, that's the one that goes. How about where you get your ideas from, Tressa?
Well, sometimes it just pops in your head, and other times you like sit down with people and they talk about it.
Do you ever talk with your families over your ideas and get some of them from
that's
there?
how I got my idea.
That's how you get your idea? And what show is it that you're doing?
Fifth graders to movie makers.
Ah, is that what you choose to do?
Yeah,
And you've written this?
yeah.
Okay, and what is the idea of this show?
Well, it's on the Britain class, and it's like we interview the kids in the class, and we show the cameraman and stuff what they're doing.
Have you started doing some of this already?
No.
So this is going to give you experience to do your show, isn't it?
Yeah, this is my show.
Oh, okay, great. One of the things I've always wondered about, Paul, could you explain to me, in writing a script, is there a difference in writing that and a story?
Yes, when you write the script, you have to draw what's going to happen in little stick figures, and then somewhere on the page, write what they're going to say and what's going to happen.
I see. I could handle that kind of drawing. Paul, you were involved in this Monsters movie that won the awards, and I believe there's kind of some special aspects about this movie that you were involved in. Could you explain those to us?
Yeah, I helped write it, and I did the lights, and I did some sound effects.
When you say you did some of the sound effects, could you be specific on what your sound effects were?
Oh, I made the monster noises.
You were the monster. Is that because that's what you're best at doing, is being monster?
Well, I wasn't the monster. Somebody else was the monster, but I just did the sound effects.
The growling and noises like that. Now, this was filmed someplace kind of near and dear to you, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was filmed in my house.
In your house, right in your bedroom, I believe, wasn't it?
Yep.
Do you really have monsters in your bedroom?
No.
No? Okay. Tessa, you are also helping with doing the editing on the fashion show, High Top Boots to LA Gear.
Yeah.
And I believe there was a little something special about that one for you, too. What is that?
I designed a dress.
You designed one of the dresses and
made it.
And made it also? That's great. Which was it?
The 2000.
The futuristic fashion model. Well, I'm going to be anxious to see that one. Now, you were also involved in that in other ways. Could you tell us about that?
Well, I helped Sarah out, and I also did some acting.
Some of the acting. So you were like the assistant director also to it? Mm-hmm. Okay. Sounds like both of you have really been involved in a lot of things that are interesting, and it's been very rewarding and fun for you, I'll bet, hasn't it?
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Great. Thanks for talking to me. We'll see you later. Next two girls here are going to talk to us about a very special trip they went on to the Detroit Science Center. This was called Superheroes, and Becky Trilch, she's with Meridian Schools, and Heidi Bostic from Coleman Schools have some really neat things to tell us about the superheroes. Heidi, could you explain to us what we mean by superheroes when they're talking about it?
Well, it's a trip we took with Project Discover to the Dow Science Center, and we learned about the superheroes and how science is involved with that and how you can do that type of stuff with science.
So the superheroes aren't necessarily just figments of our imagination. Some of it's real and can be used in our everyday life. Is that correct?
Well, I wouldn't say our everyday life. Like
certain parts of it?
Yeah.
Okay. Because we do use a lot of science when we don't even know we're using it, right?
Yeah.
What did you like about it, Becky?
Well, I liked it when we got to go to the exhibit, and when they showed us the real suit that Michael Keaton wore for Batman, and the Spider-Man suit, and they had different things showing, like some superhero stuff, some regular stuff, and some like crime computers that you could make up your own suspect.
Oh, that's a great thing, huh?
And they had like a hospital thing where you could look down a fake throat and see a button in there.
Oh. So it was all like hands-on things that you could see too, right? That sounds like it was great. How is it that you came to be able to go on this trip?
Mrs. Young is in a school thing, and since there was Project Discover for the gifted and talented, and our group was a gifted and talented group too, so Mrs. Young got us to be able to go, and there was 250 students from, I think, Coleman, Meridian, Bullock Creek, and Midland. I'm not sure about
Midland County school children got to go. Was this sponsored by someone in particular?
It was sponsored by Dow.
So it was a gift they paid for the trip for everybody to go down there and everything? Well, that was great. Did you really enjoy it? Learn a lot from it? Both of you were working on shows too, is that correct?
Yes.
Heidi, I believe you're working with Heather on the Big Brothers, Big Sisters thing. Is that correct?
Yes.
Could you tell us something about some of the things you've done for that production?
Well, we have talked with a person about this, and we're just scheduling a time right now, but we're going to talk with the big brother, with a little brother, and a big brother with his little brother, and a big sister with her little sister.
So you'll be doing some of the writing for this then? And
Yes.
the camera work and all that sort of thing too? You're also going to do a production of your own with the rest of the kids from the group that are from Coleman schools, and what's that one going to be about?
It's going to be about the Coleman schools, so we can learn more about them and see who is really involved with them and stuff like that.
I see. Have you done any of the work on that so far?
Yes, I and Heather went to the elementary school and filmed some of the classrooms and Mr. Latta.
Did they know you were coming?
Yes, it was in the bulletin.
So you didn't catch them by surprise then, huh?
Some of them we caught by surprise.
Oh, good.
But
So there'll be good things on there, right?
yeah.
You are working on a similar film, right, Becky?
Yeah.
And could you tell us about yours?
It's about Meridian Public School District. I went to the high school, the junior high, and the 3 elementaries and taped different things like classrooms, secretaries, principals.
It sounds like we're going to have a real rundown on all the schools then, right? And everybody's going to see what really happens at the schools, right? Sounds like you girls have been doing some fun things too. Thanks for talking to me.
You're welcome.
Next we have Heather Lewis, and she's from Coleman Elementary School. We're talking to her alone today because her partner, Sean, what was Sean's last name?
McMahon.
And Sean McMahon, and he was from Bullock Creek Pine River, and I'm afraid he couldn't be with us today, so we aren't going to be able to talk to him. But Sean was working on a production that was a show about inventions, and he also was talent and did some of the acting for the Monsters show. Heather, you, I understand, were the cameraman for Monsters.
Yeah.
Can you explain what a cameraman does?
Well, what you do is you have to set up tripods, and that's what holds the camera steady when you're working out of the building. And there's a lot of mechanics in it. There's a lot of buttons to push, and you have to know when to turn it on and have it playing, and when not to have it playing, and what the signals are and everything.
So you have different signals that you have to listen for and watch for, and cameraman also does the zooming in and moving it back and all that sort of thing. Is that correct? You are also producing a show of your own. Is that correct?
Yeah, I'm doing a show on Big Brothers and Big Sisters with Heidi Bostic, and Big Brothers and Big Sisters Foundation of Midland asked us to do a show for them, and we've taped a fashion show already that they've had.
Oh, good. So it's various activities that they have and what they do in the community. Is that correct?
Yes.
That ought to be really interesting then to hear about it. Thanks for talking to me. See you later, Heather. Last but never least, I have 2 men that are mainly responsible for what happens here at Midland Community TV, Station 5. This is Ron Beacom, who is the director at the station, and Ron Browne, who is the production assistant. Both Ron Beacom, this is hard, Ron and Ron. Ron Beacom is formerly from Coleman, so he's really interested in our project here also. Ron, could you explain to us some of your duties and how you got involved here?
Well, I'm the director of the station. I work for the City of Midland. This is the City of Midland's access station. I got involved here. I had worked in television news for several years. I was living out east and happened to hear about the opening here, and I thought, well, it'd be interesting to try something like access and to come back to the area. So that's how I got involved, and it's been a real great experience, and what they've done with the Britain class up to this point it's fantastic. I wish when I was that age we would have had these kind of opportunities.
You've never worked with another group the same way or the same type of experience than before with this, then it's been a good one, huh?
Yeah, these 5th graders have done a great job.
Ron Browne, could you tell us what a production assistant does? And I believe that you've helped train the Britain group, is that correct?
Right, I'm responsible for training.
And what all does that involve?
Teaching them how to use the cameras and the rest of the equipment.
And that's all the equipment in the studio room too, is that correct?
In the control room, yes.
Control room, okay. And the editing and all types of things. I believe you teach a class in this also, is that correct? In using a camcorder?
Yeah, that's my major function, is
Okay.
to teach the classes down here. down here.
Oh, all right, okay. How do you feel about having worked with a group of students like this?
They're easy to teach. They're they pick up the stuff really fast.
So you've enjoyed it also?
Yes.
Okay. Well, I think that what you've done is really great, and with Mrs. Young and Mrs. Browne, it's been a super group, and I think your whole experiment's worked really well. And I appreciate your letting me come in here and talk to you all about it. Thank you.
It's been our pleasure.
Thank you. Tressa, we finished the interview with the Britten group, and I really enjoyed talking to everybody. I know that you're going to use parts of this interview in the show that you're doing about the Britten group. And it sounds like you really had a lot of fun doing all these things.
We did.
It sounds like you learned a lot, too.
We did. We learned a lot, like patience,
Why is patience what you learned the most of?
because of some of our mistakes.
Oh, you had lots of mistakes, huh?
Yeah.
On the cutting room floors were there, though, right? What kind of mistakes could you tell us that you had?
Well, once Dina fainted during surgery, and I talked on her video.
About the vets that she was doing, and she fainted?
Yeah, the doctors thought she was leaning over closer to get a better look.
Oh, really?
And she was turning pale.
Oh, dear. So what did they do to keep her, to revive her? Did they have to stop surgery?
Yes.
So she was probably embarrassed, wasn't she?
Yeah.
How about some of the others?
Well, once Becky called this guy a different name because she kept going over and over with this one guy, and then she called him the name.
Oh, dear. From using the same name over and over on somebody else, huh?
Uh-huh.
What about lions? Anybody ever forgot lions?
Oh, yeah, Paul. He was so upset.
About forgetting his lines or
Yeah.
something else that made him forget his
Forgetting
lines? I
his
see.
lines.
Well, it sounds like you've all learned a few things by trial and error, and I understand why you say patience probably is one of the biggest things you've learned.
Yeah.
You have to do them over a few times after that, huh?
Yep.
Well, I have, like I said, had a lot of fun with you and talking to you all, and I think that your tape's going to be a really good one, too, and it's going to be kind of a history of your group, and it'll be something you'll all have to keep and remember everything by. That ought to
Yeah.
be really special. Thanks for letting me talk to you.
Thanks.
BMC.